Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the important articles from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB from the UPSC CSC prelims perspective. Displayed are the list of articles which we are going to discuss in today's video. The first article of the day says that the Indian Space Research Organization chairman on Friday said that the space agency will take all precautions by carrying out a sufficient number of tests before the manned Gaganyaan mission is launched. In this context, let us talk about the Gaganyaan mission. See, the Gaganyaan mission envisages demonstration of human spaceflight capability by launching crew of 3 members to an orbit of 400 kilometers for a 3 days mission and bring them back safely to Earth by landing in the Indian sea waters. Significantly, the success of the Gaganyaan mission will put India in the allied group of nations of United States, Russia and China having human spaceflight capability. If we have to talk about its objectives, firstly, to undertake human space flights and secondly, space exploration. Moving on to talk about its launch. See, a modified version of ISRO's most reliable rocket LVM-3, which is the 3-stage heavy lift launch vehicle previously called the Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle Mark III, is the launching vehicle of the Gaganyaan mission. Furthermore, talking about the phases of Gaganyaan mission, so before executing the unmanned and the manned mission, ISRO has planned to demonstrate numerous tests, including the following ones. Firstly, the integrated airdrop test. This test is intended to validate the deceleration system performance using an IAF chopper. Secondly, the pad abort test. The test will involve dropping the crew module from a helicopter and will help understand the impact from various heights and velocity. Then, the test vehicle is a single-stage liquid rocket developed for this abort mission. Lastly, unmanned missions which will be for technological demonstration, safety and reliability verification and will be heavily instrumented to study the performance of the systems before crewed flight. Then, some of the advanced tests are airdrop test for parachute system, flight test of the test vehicle and abort test to demonstrate. Also, there is something called as the water survival test facility. ISRO along with the Indian Navy carried out the water survival test facility to initial recovery trials of the crew module. Know that the trials were part of the preparation for crew module recovery operations. So there is something called Vyomitra, which is the female robot astronaut, the humanoid designed and developed by ISRO to fly aboard unmanned test missions before Gaganyaan human space flight mission. Know that Vyomitra will resemble the human upper body, featuring movable arms, face and neck equipped with sensors to perform human-like functions and assess the impacts of space travel. Furthermore, this half-humanoid stimulates the anthropomorphic characteristics or the features of the upper torso of a human body and will primarily demonstrate operations such as crew console-related tasks. So the skull is designed to withstand the vibrational loads experienced during the launch. Furthermore, the human spaceflight module of Gaganyaan will be followed by 2 unmanned missions. The second article of the day says that Unit 7 of the Rajasthan Atomic Power Project at Rawatbhata in the Chittorgarh district achieved criticality or the start of the controlled fission chain reaction on Thursday night according to the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. Know that the RAPP-7 is the third reactor to go critical in a series of 16 pressurized heavy water reactors of 700 megawatt each the National Nuclear Establishment is setting up. In this context, let us talk about the pressurized heavy water reactors. See, a pressurized heavy water nuclear reactor is a nuclear reactor that uses heavy water, which means the deuterium oxide as its coolant and neutron moderator. Know that the PHWRs frequently use natural uranium as fuel, but sometimes also use very low enriched uranium. Furthermore, the heavy water coolant is kept under pressure to avoid boiling, allowing it to reach higher temperature without forming steam bubbles exactly as for a pressurized water reactor. Then, why do you think pressurized heavy water reactor is used? See, it uses heavier hard water as compared to the soft water. Notably, the advantage of using a heavy water is that it has a low absorption of neutrons, which means that more neutrons can cause a further nuclear reaction in the fuel and sustain a chain reaction. Furthermore, it also ensures that there is an element of safety. See, it uses natural uranium, which is uranium-238. Hence, there is no need of enrichment and therefore no need of international sanctions as well. Then they can adjust the amount of electricity they produce based on the needs of power grid. Significantly, this helps in keeping power supply stable so we don't have sudden changes in the electricity availability. Lastly, beyond electricity, it also helps in making medical isotopes. The third article of the day says that as part of the 75,000 crore rupees PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijlee Yojana, the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has announced a 500 crore subcomponent for innovative projects according to a draft notification from the ministry. In this context, let us talk about PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijlee Yojana. See, the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijlee Yojana is a central scheme that aims to provide free electricity to 1 crore households in India who opt to install a rooftop solar electricity unit. Furthermore, the households will be able to get 300 units of electricity free every month. Then, if we have to talk about other benefits, firstly, free electricity for households. Secondly, reduced electricity costs for the government. Thirdly, increased use of renewable energy. And lastly, reduced carbon emissions. Significantly, the nodal ministry for this scheme is the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Then, how does the PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijlee Yojana work? See, the scheme provides for a subsidy of 60% of the solar unit cost for systems up to 2 kilowatt capacity and 40% of additional system cost for systems between 2 to 3 kilowatt capacity. Notably, the subsidy has been capped at 3 kilowatt capacity. The next article says that Rubber Board will unveil a portal in a week to register exporters of natural rubber and products made of natural rubber. In this context, let us talk about the Rubber Board and then about natural rubber. See, the Rubber Board is a statutory organization constituted under the Section 4 of the Rubber Act of 1947. Know that it functions under the administrative control of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Furthermore, the board is headed by a chairman appointed by the central government and has 28 members presenting various interests of the natural rubber industry. Notably, the board's headquarters is located at Kottayam in Kerala. Now, moving on to talk about its functions. Firstly, the board is responsible for the development of rubber industry in the country by way of assisting and encouraging research, development, extension and training activities related to rubber. Secondly, it also maintains the statistical data of rubber, takes steps to promote marketing of rubber and undertake labor welfare activities. Significantly, a crucial function of the Rubber Board is issuing license to rubber producers, manufacturers and exporters or traders. Know that this license, known as the Rubber Board license or registration, is mandatory for anyone involved in the rubber manufacturing and export. Moving on to talk about natural rubber. See, the natural rubber is a raw material derived from the latex or the milky sap of certain plant species, primarily the rubber tree, scientifically known as the Hevea basilinus. Know that this latex contains a complex mixture of organic compounds, with the primary component being polymer called polyisoprene. Then what about its growing conditions? Firstly, tropical climate with annual rainfall of 2000 to 4500 millimeters is suited for the cultivation. Secondly, deep and lateritic fertile soil with an acidic pH of 4.5 to 6.0 and highly deficient in available phosphorus. Lastly, minimum and maximum temperature should be ranged from 25 to 34 degrees Celsius with 80% relative humidity ideal for cultivation. The next article says that export of the value-added coffees is projected to be 60% of total coffee exports in volume by the year 2047, according to the Coffee Board CEO. In this context, let us talk about the Coffee Board. See, the Coffee Board is a statutory organization constituted under the Section 4 of the Coffee Act of 1942. Know that it functions under the administrative control of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of the Government of India. Notably, the board comprises 33 members, including the chairperson. Then, what is the role of Coffee Board? See, the Coffee Board serves as a friend, philosopher and guide to the coffee sector, covering the entire value chain. Significantly, the core activities are primarily directed towards the research and development, transfer of technology, enhancement of production, quality improvement, export promotion and supporting development of domestic market. Know that the head office of the Coffee Board is situated in Bangalore. Then talking about the climatic conditions required for it, see, coffee plants require a hot and humid climate with temperature varying between 15 and 28 degrees Celsius and the rainfall from 150 to 250 centimeters. Notably, does not tolerate frost, snowfall, high temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius, and strong sunshine, and is generally grown under shady trees. Furthermore, coffee plants grow best in well-drained, loamy soils with plenty of humus and minerals like calcium and iron. Lastly, the coffee plants are often grown on hillsides at elevations of 600 to 1600 meters above the sea level. If we have to talk about the producer states in India, see, coffee is mainly produced in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha. Notably, Karnataka is the largest producer, accounting for about 70% of the total coffee production in India. Significantly, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization statistics, India is the 8th largest producer of coffee by volume. The next article says that the private dairy in Dindigul has claimed it had supplied ghee to make Tirupati laddus, denied that the ghee used to make Tirupati laddu was impure or substandard as alleged. Know that it had supplied ghee to Kirumala Tirupati Devasthanam even in June and July, and there were no complaints so far. In this context, let us talk about the FSSAI. See, it is an autonomous body established under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Government of India. Notably, the FSSAI has been established under the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006, which is a consolidating statute related to food safety and regulation in India. If we have to talk about its vision, it is to build a new India by enabling citizens to have safe and nutritious food, prevent diseases, and lead to a healthy and happy life. Then, looking at its mission, it is to set globally benchmark standards for food, encourage and ensure that the food business adhere to these standards, adopt good manufacturing and hygiene practices, and ultimately enable citizens to access a safe and right food. Moving on, what about the functions of the FSSAI? See, the FSSAI is responsible for protecting and promoting public health through the regulation and supervision of the food safety. Secondly, it lays down standards and guidelines in relation to the articles of food and provides for licensing, registration, and accreditation for food business operators. Know that anyone selling or importing food in India needs a food license issued by FSSAI. Then, FSSAI also directly monitors compliance of food regulations, especially in the area of food imports to India. Furthermore, FSSAI officers carry out food import controls and ensure that they contain no harmful ingredients. So, to do this, they send selected test products from the importer to the accredited laboratories for inspection. Additionally, the FSSAI is also responsible for the accreditation of food testing laboratories throughout India. Lastly, the FSSAI is responsible for the food certification in India. The next article says that the NGD's principal bench on Friday imposed 1 rupee fine on the Surveyor General of India for failure to appear before for a hearing on the court case of the proposed Kanwar mark. In this context, let us talk about the National Green Tribunal, in short called the NGT. See, the NGT is a statutory body established under the National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. Significantly, its objective is to provide effective and expeditious disposal of cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests and other natural resources, and the enforcement of legal rights pertaining to environment. In general, the NGT flows from the right to a healthy environment as a fundamental aspect of the right to life under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Moving on to talk about its powers, see, the NGT has authority to hear and decide cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests and other natural resources, and enforcement of any legal right relating to the environment. Furthermore, it possesses both a civil and criminal jurisdiction, allowing it to hear cases related to environmental violations and offences. Additionally, NGT has jurisdiction over all civil cases under the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974, the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Cess Act of 1977, the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981, the Environmental Protection Act of 1986, the Forest Conservation Act of 1980, Public Liability Insurance Act of 1991, and the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. Significantly, the NGT Act outlines penalties, including the imprisonment up to 3 years, fines up to 10 crore rupees, or both based on the violations nature and seriousness. Also, the NGT has unique forum status, granting it the authority to take up environmental issues nationwide without awaiting specific case filings. Furthermore, the NGT can review and challenge decisions, acts, or omissions of the government or any public authority that have caused environmental harm. Lastly, what about its principle? See, the tribunal shall not be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of Civil Procedure of 1908, but shall be guided by principles of natural justice. Notably, the National Green Tribunal is headed by a chairperson who is a retired judge of the Supreme Court of India. The next article says that although consumer price index inflation has remained below 4% target in the months of July and August, volatility in food prices continue to pose risk as per the Reserve Bank of India's article. Furthermore, headline inflation as measured by the year-on-year changes in the All India CPI edged up to 3.7% in August 2024 from 3.6% in July 2024. Furthermore, the RBI has been targeting to keep inflation at 4% on a durable basis. In this context, let us talk about the headline inflation and then about CPI. So, what is headline inflation? See, headline inflation is the raw inflation figure reported to the Consumer Price Index that is released monthly by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Know that the headline inflation is not adjusted to remove highly volatile figures, including that those can shift regardless of the economic conditions. Significantly, headline inflation is often closely related to the shifts in the cost of living, which provides a useful information to the consumers within the marketplace. Furthermore, the headline figure is not adjusted for seasonality or for the often volatile elements of the food and energy prices, which are removed in the core. Moving on to talk about the Consumer Price Index, see, it measures the price changes from the perspective of a retail buyer. Remember that the CPI based inflation data is compiled by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation along with the Labour Bureau under the Ministry of Labour. Then, what are the types of CPI in India? Firstly, CPI for industrial workers, which measures price changes for goods and services consumed by the workers in industries. Secondly, CPI for urban non-manual employees, which focuses on the price variations for urban non-manual employees and is compiled by the National Statistical Office. Thirdly, CPI for agricultural laborers, which assesses the price fluctuations for agricultural laborers and used to calculate minimum wages in the agriculture sector across different states. And lastly, CPI for rural laborers, which is compiled by Labour Bureau, reflects the price movement specifically for rural laborers. Notably, the Monetary Policy Committee uses CPI data to control inflation. Then, you have to know that in April 2014, the RBI has adopted the CPI as its key measure of inflation. Also, CPI is calculated regarding a base year, which is used as a benchmark. So, the price reference year has been selected as the calendar year 2012. You have to look at the formula for the calculation. It is calculated by using the formula cost of the market basket in the year divided by the price of the market basket in the base year into 100. The last article of the day says that the Global Money Laundering and Terror Financing Watchdog Financial Action Task Force FATF came out with the mutual evaluation report for India. While India gained comfort from being placed in the regular follow-up category, the FATF flagged certain areas for improvement, which are the need to strengthen the prosecution in money laundering and terror financing cases, protecting the non-profit sector from terrorist abuse, and supervision and implementation of preventive measures. In this context, let us talk about the Financial Action Task Force. See, the Financial Action Task Force is an intergovernmental decision-making body. Know that it was established in the year 1989 during the G7 summit in Paris to develop policies against money laundering. Significantly, it is a policy-making body which works to generate the political will to bring about national legislative and regulatory reforms in the money laundering. Additionally, it has also started dealing with virtual currencies. Know that the Secretariat is located in the Paris. If we have to look at the objective of the FATF, see, the FATF sets standards and promotes effective implementation of, firstly, legal, regulatory and operational measures for combating money laundering. And then secondly, the FATF works to identify national level vulnerabilities with the aim of protecting the international financial system from misuse. Next, what about its functions? See, the Financial Action Task Force is the global money laundering and terrorist financing watchdog. Then, it sets the international standards that aim to prevent these illegal activities and the harm they cause to society. Furthermore, the FATF researches how money is laundered and terrorism is funded, promotes global standards to mitigate the risks, and assesses whether countries are taking effective action. Now, talking about its members, there are currently 39 members of FATF. In that, 37 jurisdictions and 2 regional organizations, which are the Gulf Cooperation Council and the European Commission. Notably, Indonesia is the only country with the observer status of FATF. Know that FATF blacklist countries are the Democratic People Republic of Korea, Iran, and Myanmar. Lastly, if we have to talk about India and FATF, see, India became an observer at FATF in 2006. Since then, it had been working towards full-fledged membership. Then in 2010, India was taken in as the country member of FATF. Additionally, India is also a member of its regional partners, the Asia Pacific Group and the Eurasian Group. So in this video, we have discussed 9 articles in total from the Hindu and the Indian Express. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.